So my name is Anthony Keys. I go to the University of Toronto Scarborough campus. I major in Management and International Business. It's a major I declare right at the start of the program, which is a little bit odd, but that's sort of how it's structured. Since I was really young, I must be the only person in a 100-mile radius that's so fascinated by NASCAR and motorsports. But I was always trying to get to the most realistic thing possible. Where I live, you don't really go racing. It's just not a function that exists in everyday life. You can't just go out and dirt race, for example. So when I was younger, it was iRacing video games. I played NASCAR 15 a lot. I played Inside Line a lot on my Wii with the motion sensor wheel, and from there I sort of gravitated towards what was most realistic, right? And once I saved up enough money from working part-time jobs and such to buy an iRacing computer that I could run the sim on and equipment, I invested in it, and it's been a great investment. That's sort of what led me towards iRacing. I'd be probably racing some type of real car if I could, but when you're further up north, the opportunities to do so dwindle and become more expensive, right? So iRacing is pretty much the best I can get, and it's, from what I hear at least, pretty darn close to the real thing, so that's pretty cool. The competition. I am a very competitive person, and I love the idea that you can go into a real-life race, for example, online, compete against 24 to 30 other people, but at the end of the day, only one of them is going to be happy with the result, right? I mean, there's only one person that can come out on top in those situations. And it's not the same when you're playing Madden on Xbox. I mean, you're winning half the time, so you become desensitized to the thrill of the game. But in here, it's you can go weeks or months without winning a race. So then when it finally happens, and you put in all the work to practice for a given track, it's all the more rewarding. And that is actually accentuated in league races, especially when you're racing against the same guys week to week, people that you trust. And it's all the more satisfactory when you get the better of them every once in a while. Yeah, I actually do. So I'm on 4X Racing, and it's hugely beneficial. Knowing that I have guys to rely on it is huge, especially in tracks where it's like an ISS or a Talladega or Daytona. I say ISS before the other two because we just raced there last weekend, and it was a huge help having teammates there. One of my teammates, even though he was a lap down, he managed to push me to the lead for the final lap, and put me in a really good spot to try and win that race. So on those bigger tracks where teammates are paramount, it's super helpful to have them at your disposal. I wouldn't describe it as a luxury. So I have my computer is a one that I more or less stole from my brother when he bought a new one. It's a 1050 2GB Ti for the graphics card. I think it's running an i3-8100, and nothing else too fancy with it. Not even don't even have the RGB for extra frames. But for my wheel, I have my Logitech G920, which is it's trustworthy. It's trusty, but my Logitech G920, it's a little bit. The clamps on it were a little bit too small to fit on my normal desk, so I had to throw together, with the help of some family members, a couple, a homemade wheelbase, if that makes any sense. I mean, if we're talking a pipe dream, I love to have a 3090 triple monitor set up with a butt kicker feedback for the seat. I guess a direct drive wheel base with a NASCAR add-on for the actual steering wheel, and it wouldn't hurt to put all of that into a chassis that was once on a real car. Tire management. It doesn't exist on console games, and I got my ass kicked when I first joined. In terms of literally what I've learned about driving, but I think more than that, I've learned on more competitive scenes like this. The more realistic the video game gets, the more the less you can get away with in online lobbies. And it's a lesson in respect, you could say. If you go on NASCAR Heat 5, you can have a lot of fun with friends there, just having fun in an online lobby, but you're not going to make it more than 3 corners without some guy just crashing you and facing no repercussions. But here, you're sort of almost forced to be respectful, not just by the iRating system and the safety rating, but also by the community. And the last thing that you want to see when you're out on the track is some crazy guy sending it on you from 10 car lengths back. And so you learn really quickly that, iRacing, it's not like you're just gonna come on here like like a Heat 5 lobby and wreck the whole field. That type of thing doesn't fly. So you learn respect among above all else. That's kind of difficult, I would say. I won. So in the Blown Piston Racing League, I won the Truck Championship and the Clash Championship, which is where we run the A cars, in the same season. I'd say that was probably my biggest accomplishment. I don't have a ton to add on to that, but to win both championships, especially against guys that are really, like, genuinely really good drivers, I would say is probably my biggest accomplishment on the sim. Tony Stewart, that's such an easy question. I would love to race against Tony Stewart. I've modeled my driving style after him. I'm good at the same tracks he's good at. I think at one point he said actually Richmond was one of his favorite tracks to drive. And I always took to Richmond, but even a place like Sonoma, I don't know if I'd be as good at him as at Sonoma, but I certainly enjoy running around there. And yeah, Tony Stewart's driving style, well, maybe even one would say a little bit more aggressive than mine. I think we sort of take to the same types of tracks, and even you could say, like, as I mentioned earlier, I had a huge issue with tire management. It's because I would smash the gas getting off the corners and always smoke the right rear. Like, I'm pretty sure that's how he got his nickname. So we have pretty similar driving styles, in part thanks to the fact that he was my favorite driver growing up, so that's who I would always be watching. But yeah, definitely would love to race against Tony Stewart in any capacity. You could throw me in a washing machine with wheels, I'd race Tony Stewart, like, any day. My next, I want to branch out somehow into racing real cars, and I know that's, like, vague, right? But I suppose my goal right there would be to not spin the car out. But yeah, I want to branch out into doing real cars somehow, even if that's just something like finding a karting league near me, anything in that capacity. I'm always looking, like I said, I'm always trying to get more realistic. Like, I want that real competition, and iRacing is really good at delivering that. But an opportunity to do any form of real life racing really would be awesome. So that's kind of, I guess, my next goal. I love Richmond. See what I mean? Like, when we exit turn 4 there, that happens all the time in a real race, and I'm not even pushing it right now, but that just like, it happens to everyone inevitably, and you really see who has good car control coming off of turn number 4 at Richmond, because you can't stop it from stepping out if you want to be fast. See, you can sort of push it up there, but if you push it up, you can diamond the corner as well, and get a little bit of a runoff, right? You kind of have to choose. You have to choose, at most you can do 2, like diving it in and getting a good run off, but you're never going to be able to do all 3, as in diving it in, getting a good run through the center, and then also getting a good run off the corner. And a lot of the times you'll find if you dive it in like this really hard, and then try and get a good run off the corner like this, your truck will start to fishtail. And this happens a lot more in the next-gen cars, but even there in that situation, if you're really aggressive back on the throttle, like you often have to be to maintain time when you're diving it in like that, you find yourself fishtailing off the corner. Like there, I just did it again on purpose. But you can sort of enter a little bit higher here and give up a bit of time on entry, but then you can get a little bit slower of an exit speed, but a lot more straight line, and that's going to help your right rear tire in that scenario.